Today we're going to talk about two different building designs and see if I can give you a few points on what might be more attractive, why you might want to build one over the other. This one, square footage wise, is going to be cheaper all the time than this one. This one's going to require additional foundation work and structural floor framing. So to give you an idea, let's just pretend like the section here is 3,000 square feet. This is 3,000 square feet, 3,000 square feet on the top, and then we'll just split it in half to make things simple. This one here will be 1,500 square feet here. So we got 4,500 square feet versus 6,000 square feet. Now, this house might be the same cost to build as this once we get into different square footages. But if we were to use the same square footages, if this was a 6,000 square foot house and this was a 6,000 square foot house, this one's always going to be cheaper to build. I cannot see how this one would be cheaper to build, especially with your labor cost that would be more involved in it. Now, to give you an idea about the structural, let's go to our little cube here. This one is going to require a beam that's going to go across here, and I'll show you a picture of that beam here in the video on another project I worked on. It's going to require a beam if the joists run this way. It's going to require a beam underneath the wall, and that would be on this wall. So both of the walls that run parallel to the joist is going to require a larger beam, and these beams usually cost more money to install and to purchase. And the floor joist might be bigger. You know, the one that you would have on this building here might only be 2 by 12, 16 inches on center. The one for this building over here would be, or could be 2 by 14, 12 inches on center. So you can have a little more money in the floor, and where the posts, the beams are supported, you're going to require a little more money in the concrete where they're going to need bigger pads to support the posts. So I'm not talking about big money, and I'm not talking about $200,000, but I am talking about more money. It is going to cost you a little more money for that. So let's just say that you like the idea of this design and this. You might be able to get the best of both worlds by just building a little shed roof around the perimeter. I think we used to call these aprons that went around here. And this might be the solution to your problem. So hopefully that gives you some idea. I can't go into a lot of details on cost because I don't really know what you would actually be doing. It's really hard for me to say that this building is going to be cheaper if you're going to put more windows in it. Hey, I can only put 10 in here. Now I can put 30 in here. Now you're in a totally different ball game. If you can have a wall, supporting wall, run down the middle of the 30-foot section. Let's just say that this is 40 foot by 30 foot. I think that's what I drew it in at. If you had a supporting wall run all the way across, then the floor joist will be a little smaller because now they will have 3 load-bearing walls. If it's going to be open in the center, let's say it's going to be a garage, you're going to be driving cars in, or a workshop where you can't have any supporting beams or walls, then the joist will need to be a little more stronger. And really, who knows? The width of the building is going to be a lot more important than the length as far as the structural goes. If you can make it a little smaller and a little longer, that might save you some money, and this would be something you'd need to talk to your engineer about, because you could actually have a wall, let's just say, that's 30 foot, but if you reduce the size down to 28 foot, it could change the size and the spacing of the floor joist to where you could save some money. And then you're thinking, well, I could live with that. I could live with the amount of money I'm going to save just by getting rid of the 2 feet and then making the building maybe 4 foot longer, giving you the same square footage. I hope that makes sense. Let's go ahead and take a look at a room addition I did a long time ago, give you an idea on how the walls stack up. Concrete foundation underneath this wall supports it and the wall above. We can see that over here also, give you a better idea. Now, if you have a roof like this that is going to be going, as we were talking about in the other pictures, then you're going to need a large supporting beam underneath the wall to support the wall, the roof, and sometimes the floor also. This one actually is supporting the floor. So we have a large beam under this one, a smaller beam underneath this wall, and then the roof wraps around, as we can see here. Here's the large beam I was talking about, and it's actually sticking out through the roof. Hopefully your design, that does not happen to you in your design, but it actually happened in this one here. Here's the large beam I'm talking about. It's supporting the smaller roof, the wall framing above here, and it's actually supporting the floor joist. I don't know if you can see it in here. It's actually supporting the floor joist, and it has a large strap as a hold down for the shear panel wall above, which would be this one here. Here's the smaller beam I was talking about that's running in here. There's a close-up of it. Let's just shoot back to the outside here. So this right here, you can see where it's going to require a little more material, a stronger foundation. It's going to require concrete pads underneath the posts, the heavier beams, and this is where it could eat up into the cost. But again, I think you need to weigh out the overall cost of the project. If the finish on the interior is going to be cheaper than the structural, than the additional money that you would spend on the structural flooring, floor framing, and the concrete foundation, then it might work out to be okay. And if you're going to build something like that yourself, then it might even be cheaper, or might even offset the cost, because it costs a lot of money to build a roof like this and to do all these small changes. You know, if you're just going to have a square building, you're not going to need this. It's going to be a lot cheaper in labor to build something like that than it would to if you're paying for labor. So to give you an example, the one house where we had that's completely square that was on the right in the pictures, that one is usually going to be cheaper to build because you're not building stuff like this labor-wise, and I hope that makes sense. Okay, I've spent enough time on this video, probably more than I should have. If you do have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment area, and I will answer them as soon as possible.